Susan Reardon. I'm the staff hearing officer, and I call the meeting of Wednesday, September 4th to order. Today we have 4 items on the agenda, and we don't have any requests for continuances, do we? No, we do not. Okay, so we'll hear the items in the order that they appear on the agenda. Under announcements and appeals, I have no announcements, and we've had no recent appeals. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the staff hearing officer on items not on today's agenda? No? Seeing no one, we'll go to the first item, which is a continued item. It's 1030 Arbolado Road. If the applicant would like to come up. Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
I don't know if you want me to repeat what the modifications for.
Just give a quick recap so someone new is watching.
So we have this project here at Arbolado Road that has a proposed new turnaround, which happens to be located in the area where the conforming open yard was located. They're proposing to locate their open yard in this area out here, in a portion of the remaining front yard that is not visible from Arbolado Road. We did discuss this turnaround, and at last meeting, you had determined that you were going to go out in the field and do a site visit and actually see the topography yourself. I did consult with transportation about how much this could possibly change by using the template. And if you can see on the left here, there's a very small area that could be reduced and still make a template turn. One movement forward, one movement backward, and then come straight down the driveway. So you don't lose very much. It's only about 17 feet deep, and then you have like 16 and a half foot wide for the paved road at that point. So it's very tight to make that turning maneuver. I have not received, well, we have received one additional comment from Paula Westbury. Here's a letter for you. She is still opposed to any change.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, I did go out to the site, and thank you for meeting me on the site, Patrick. That was
Thanks for showing up.
helpful, yeah. I don't know if you have anything additional you wanted to add above or other of you two.
The only thing I would add is the main reason I wanted to have you up there is for you to try to turn around in that space. So, like what Danny Cotto did, he didn't really understand the challenges until he actually tried to maneuver a vehicle in there. And for whatever reason, you didn't want to do that. I understand. But I was hoping that you'd be able to glean some more information or alternatively backing down and not, hitting that blind spot where you just see horizon, you don't see any road. So, but it is what it is. So.
Okay, great. And actually, I forgot, you should state your name for the record. I know you introduced yourself last hearing, but...
Patrick Hall, owner at 1036 Arbolado.
Okay.
Matt Eastwood, Blackbird Architects. I don't have any further comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'd like to open the public comment. And I don't see anyone. I know Susan Isham showed up last time. We did receive, as Suzanne said, an additional letter from Ms. Paula Westbury. She expresses concerns on most of the projects. And then I still have the previous email from the neighbor, Tom DiGiovanni.
Yes.
Expressing concerns regarding his access way to the road.
And you and I reviewed that on site.
Yes,
Yeah.
and thank you. That was helpful to see where that was. And it's up in this area, so it's not going to be in conflict with the proposed turnaround area. And then I did read Susan's letter, and she spoke at the last hearing. So I'll close the public hearing. Like I said, I went out to the site, and it was really helpful. And at the time that I arrived at the site, there was some yard workers or landscapers, so I parked at the lower edge. Although I didn't drive down the driveway or try to back down it, I understand the hardships. My concern actually mainly just relates to the turnaround area. I think the modification itself, or the proposed area of the open yard area, is appropriate in this instance, that it's it's where the active use areas is. The pool, it takes advantage of the view. So that aspect of it, I don't have a concern with. My concern mainly related to the reason why the modification was necessary for the proposed turnaround area. And looking at the site, the slope where it's proposed in, it's a steep slope. We have many general plan policies to preserve steep slopes. I know the design review bodies, they also have policies that protect steep slopes. And it's my understanding that this actually was reviewed and approved by the Single Family Design Board prior to it being made aware that it was needed a modification because of the open yard area. So another thing I looked at when I was out on the site was, is there another area on site that would be appropriate to allow a turnaround area? Because I understand, this easement's not well, at least my understanding of the easement's for access only, it's not for parking. And what you explained in the last hearing was that the justification for the modification or the turnaround area was to allow maybe service vehicles or people that come up, delivery vehicles that come up to the door to deliver a place to turn around. And in looking at the existing development on the site on your property, 1036 Arbolado, I thought there was one on here that showed your improvements. No, it's just the front page. Well, given the existing development on your site, there really isn't an area over in this area that could be proposed because of the grade difference and your patio area.
Yeah, this is a big
I might have
drop.
pictures of it.
This is a big drop. And so there's
Yeah.
a patio here. It's probably about a 6 or 7 foot drop between here and that.
Well, that's from up above. That's your house, but it doesn't really show. Maybe this shows the grade a little bit. I don't know if we have a better picture. But one of the things in reviewing a modification is, well, here's kind of an aerial, is to look at if there's other locations that might cause less concern or might be more consistent with the zoning ordinance. And in this instance, given the existing development, the hedge, your patio area, this you shoot in. I don't know that there is another area that could serve the same purpose. So in terms of the location, I can see why you proposed it where it is. Looking at it and going out to the site, I think I can support the requested modification with the condition that the proposed turnaround area be the minimum necessary, both in width and length, and that the area be signed no parking on the pavement and on the plans. That area is not for parking. Parking modification modification of the interior setback to allow parking wasn't requested. Therefore, it needs to be signed that way. And then also, another reason for it being signed no parking is the letter that I received from Ryan DiGiulio. I know I was saying it wrong. DiGiulio, where he says that that although the overall distance of the driveway does not require an approved on-site fire department turnaround area, any clear, unobstructed access on this driveway would prove beneficial in an emergency for both properties. So making sure that it's not used for parking, that it is just for turnaround area. And the fact that this easement doesn't allow for parking on it is just ingress or for access.
I'm curious, is there, I know it's not in the deed that there's an exclusion for parking. Is there a city policy that there's no parking on legal easements?
Okay, maybe I misspoke. As described in Ms. Besham's letter, it's for the sole purpose of limited to road purposes for ingress and egress. So based on what's stated in this letter,
Okay.
that's,
Yeah, that's not the deed, that's her letter, but that's
okay,
okay.
so based on that, that's what I'm saying.
I'm fine posting a no park anything there.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm talking about is outside of the easement in the turnaround area, that
Yeah.
this be signed and painted for no
Okay.
parking.
Does the city have guidelines for what kind of signage they want there, or?
You can work with Ms. Regal and transportation staff on what this appropriate signage will be in the permit process. So if you're okay with that condition,
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
the two conditions actually, the minimum size necessary as determined by transportation staff, and the signage. I can make the findings outlined in the staff report and approve your project, and my action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. They also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day review period. And if that was to occur, Ms. Regal would contact you. Okay?
Okay. Is there a copy of the letter that was written, the handwritten one? I hadn't seen that before.
I just
Oh,
gave
do
a
you
copy
need
too.
Yeah, you can have my copy.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. So you're approved.
All right.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you
Sure.
very much.
Our work here is complete. Hey, thanks again for coming out.
Sure.
It's helpful.
Yeah. The next item is 1528 Cliff Drive. Good morning.
I hope.
Sorry, I didn't highlight this one like I normally do.
What?
I know, I slacked.
I
You can't really see.
Well, you have to
Too much
point
light in the room.
the Diana here.
I'm just going to highlight this section here because this is the back that we're talking about. So this project is located on a slightly smaller than 15,000 square foot lot, and it is bordered by 3 street frontages and an interior lot line. The proposed project involves constructing a new 2-car detached garage and a small 24 square foot addition for a master bathroom. The primary facade of the garage would face La Vista del Oceano on this frontage, because La Vista del Oceano continues around. The project also involves some alterations to existing windows on the south and west elevations, a new pergola, and a change to existing entry door, brick paved patios. But most of those are outside of the required 20-foot front setback along Cliff Vista del Oceano as it proceeds around the property. The applicant is requesting this front setback modification, and it was reviewed by the Historic Landmarks Commission on June 19th, where they reviewed a historic structures report that discussed the compatibility of the garage with the existing structure. We did explore different proposals at one time that would possibly connect the building, but in talking to our city urban historian, she felt that was a conflict, and that's why she triggered the historic structures report. The report was accepted, like I said, on June 19th. The HLC reviewed this project and forwarded it on to the staff hearing officer. They had some design critiques of the garage, but overall they felt that the concept was supportable and consistent with their neighborhood preservation ordinance findings and the historic resource findings. The applicant is proposing to be 14 foot 6 feet back from the property line to the face of the garage, and it measures a little different on different sheets.
We sent a letter in on that, asking to be 13,
I'm sorry, 13 feet now.
to be
We
sure.
started at
make it-
14.6, now we're at 13 feet from the property line to the face of the garage.
That's still okay with the historic stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
They were more concerned with the proximity north to south in relationship to the entry court here.
So not preserving any views of the stairway.
Correct. They didn't want it attached to this feature here.
Okay.
There are some windows, I believe, down in this area and a door underneath the stair. Staff feels that the front setback modification is consistent with the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance, especially with the hardship of having 3 street frontages. Going from Cliff Drive, there really is a pretty steep change in grade that obviously we wouldn't want to have a new curb cut off of Cliff Drive, which is also a Caltrans right-of-way currently. We looked at the upper portion of the lot, the north end of the lot, as it relates to La Vista del Luciano, but because of the way the traffic comes down and around, we felt that it was not a good location in speaking with transportation, and we settled on the location here as being the most appropriate and safest location. We did study how far back it is from the Cliff Drive corner, also to increase that safety of people coming around the corner and not being able to see somebody backing out or entering the driveway. And so with that, staff recommends approval of this, making the findings in the staff report. Does not have any suggestion for conditions.
Okay, great, thank you. Would you like to state your name for the record and add additional comments?
My name is Lawrence Thompson, architect, and no, I have no other additional comments.
Okay, great, thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the staff hearing officer on 1528 Cliff Drive? Seeing no one? Oh, actually, I wanted to state for the record, I did receive a letter from Ms. Paula Westbury expressing concerns with the project, so I'll close the public hearing. I did go out to the site and visited it and looked around the neighborhood. And, you know, with the exception of moving the garage to the middle of the site, there really isn't another place on the site you can place it and not need a modification. And I did read the Phase 1, Phase 2 historic structures report, because on the site visit I looked at the house, and I think it's very pretty from Cliff Drive. And so I was wondering what this historic structure said in terms of placing a garage in front of the house. And it goes through and says that the house is structure of merit worthy, but that the proposed garage and its location does not cause significant impacts to that. So the historic structures report supports the proposed location. But I did have a question. In the report, it mentions about, it says, the reconfiguration of the parking area and its repaving with brick would not result in the loss of historic material. And it talks about new paving and parking area. Was that a previous proposal? Because I see this paving's removed and bricks going in this area.
Right.
Here's an entry court, but it's not accessible to cars, right?
There used to be, there used to be a driveway that came further over. Now it's being relocated, and there's some additional concrete to relocate the driveway. And also in response, the garage defines an entry court now, which is more traditional. The trellis does follow the intent of the original owners to have an axial relationship with the original entry. And obviously, because the garage is over here, it does allow you to see the mass of the building from the street while still offering some view in toward the side. But we're seeing this more as a complementary feature rather than as a view blockage feature.
Yeah, we can look at the elevation.
And I haven't seen this letter until now. I can't really read this letter.
She regularly monitors all our
I know,
boards.
yeah. So I
Here's
don't know
the
what to say about it because I can't really read it. Thank you.
This is the paving that was there for the...
So there's not new uncovered parking, you're removing the existing uncovered parking and replacing it with the garage and the
Yes,
driveway?
yes.
Okay.
We're reclaiming what was a driveway to open space and an amenity to the property rather than a utilitarian vehicular access.
Yeah, But I just wanted to clarify that, because I didn't see on the plans where there was any parking. So given all those facts you know, that there's 3 front yards, there's limited places you can put a garage, the support of the historic structures report, and the fact that I would determine this street, the Del Oceano street frontage and the La Vista Del Oceano street frontage as secondary front yards, and the Cliff Drive be the primary front yard. And the garage does respect the front setback, you know, significantly more than 20 feet setback from the front property line on Cliff Drive. I think the encroachment into the front setback, the secondary front setback of Del Oceano is an appropriate improvement for the site and could support the modification. Like Suzanne, there's no conditions proposed. I don't believe I need to add any additional conditions. The Historic Landmarks Commission has been working with you on the design and providing some suggestions and recommendations for their support, and I don't believe I need to make any additional conditions. So with that, I'll make the findings outlined in the staff report and approve your project. My action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days, and they also have oversight authority of all my actions. And if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day review period. And if either of those would occur, Ms. Riegel would contact you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify for the record, Ms. Westbury is in support of this encroachment. Kathy, the staff is requested to allow the encroachments into the front yard.
All is done already.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of
Usually she has concerns, and this time she's
Oh, I
saying
see.
allow it.
Well, it's nice
Well-
to know that.
Yes.
It kind of goes back and forth from concerns to the one sentence support and then back down. So
You can actually read the letter?
You get used to it.
Amazing.
never should have done any something things. All is done. Leave all as is. Be well. Great. So you have a project.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. The next application is Campanile,
Packet there.
3232 Campanile. Hi.
Hi.
And I did receive revised
Oh, good.
staff report. That was probably a shock when you opened it up.
I did. One little word changed everything.
Did I grab the right one? No, I grabbed the wrong one.
Do you want to use mine, or do you have one?
No,
You have a highlight?
this one I have marked.
Okay.
This one I have marked. I just grabbed the older version of the plan. So this is a project for a new entry gate and pillars along 3232 Campanile. There's some photos of the site. And we're speaking to the driveway. This is the existing driveway for the existing development. They recently got a building permit, or they're in progress for getting a building permit for the construction of a new house on this lot. As a review after final change, they wanted to add this new entry gate here. There's 2 columns and a gate that slides up to one side of the driveway. Because of the topography of the lot, you could see the original driveway was fairly steep, and they're trying to lessen that slope. They have chose to gently meander the driveway up to get less slopes. And in looking in locations to put this new gate and have the gate be able to slide across that sloping topography, they were able to get one column completely out of the 20-foot setback, but they could not get both columns out of that. So there's a small portion of the gate and the one entry column that is located 20 feet or less than 20 feet back from the property line, but it is located 20 feet back from the edge of the right-of-way from the rolled curb. Staff is recommending support of this modification to allow a fence or gate to exceed 3.5 feet when located in less than 20 feet from the front property line and 10 feet of either side of a property or a driveway, sorry.
So how tall is this one? This
I couldn't
says-
find that label.
That's
3 feet, but this one right here, how?
that's
pool fence. So it's
5 feet?
Yeah.
And 10 feet is to this mark right here. So there would be a small portion of that pool fencing that doesn't meet the code also.
Really? So, no, that would meet 10 feet
No,
back.
it's
Oh, for
within
20
10 feet.
of the
That's-
driveway.
And
Within
10 feet
of
either
the driveway.
side.
Okay, yes,
So
correct.
to that point,
Okay,
it would be
Yes.
exceeding the 3.5 feet.
okay, great. Would you like to state your name for the record and provide any additional comments?
Stacy Fawcett, I'm the landscape architect representing the owners.
Do you have any, do you want to say anything about it, or do you just, that's
I
fine?
think we're just, like she said, that the original driveway, obviously went straight up. We're trying to lessen the slope on the approach, which, helped determine the gate locations. So, overall, I think it's just it's a good solution. We did, upon request of the design review board, we lowered the height of the gate. So that's on this to 6 feet. This is the gate design. This is the light. Kind of shows the location, and then that's a section showing the conditions. So this originally was 7 feet, and we've lowered it to 6 feet.
The columns are 6 feet, or the gate?
The gate is 6 feet. The column is 7 feet to 7.6, depending on proportions of
Okay.
the cap and all. And we did look at those photographs where they asked us to bring in some photos of other gates in the nearby vicinity. So these are also on the same street.
Do you know if they're permitted or not?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They
Okay.
just said,
They're just examples?
yeah.
Okay. Great. I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the staff hearing officer on 3232 Campanile Drive? We did receive a letter from Ms. Paula Westbury. I think expressing concerns. This one's not written as clear. So I'll close the public hearing. I went out to the site and I looked at the site, and my initial, oops, I just put this way. My initial comment was why it doesn't appear to be many site constraints, why it can't be pushed back. And Suzanne explained the thought process in terms of the grading and the location, and so I understand that part. The one question I have on your site plan, and it was probably a correction in plan check, is that, and it has nothing to do with the gate, but your open yard area doesn't meet the code requirements. It's located in the front yard, and so it has to be back here
Kind of marked an area
and there.
here.
Okay, yeah, just to let you know that.
Okay.
So the open yard area,
Yeah.
that's,
I think it was in that location is it out of the front yard?
well, the front yard is defined by the front face of the building, and then a line, shooting off the same over here. So this is all front yard, which is different than front setback. Front setback's a
Okay.
designated distance, whereas the front,
But this would
that would
qualify,
qualify, because the back corner of the building, it would be here. So somewhere in here, as long as it's 20 feet.
right.
And in a secondary front yard, you can have your open yard located as close as 10 feet to the front property line.
Okay.
So it would work in that back location.
Yeah, so that's a side note.
Okay.
But in terms of your request before me, the modification to allow the pillar and portion of the gate and small portion of the fence to be located, or to be higher than 3.5 feet within 10 feet of the driveway for the distance of 20 feet back, it's an appropriate improvement. And I can make the findings outlined in the staff report. Staff's not proposing any conditions, and I don't believe I need to add any additional conditions, so it's approved as submitted.
Okay.
My action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. They also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day review period. And if that was to occur, Ms. Riegel would contact you.
Okay.
Okay?
Is
That's
that
your
for
copy.
me? Okay.
The last item is 1120
Thank
Garcia
you.
Road. Sure. Would the applicant like to come up? I don't think you guys' mics are on. This one's-
Yeah, we're on.
Is it green?
No, you're not on.
No, you're not.
Oh,
Sounds like it.
All right. So this project is located at 1120 Garcia Road. As you can see from the site plan, they have a significant constraint to their lot because they're fronted by Garcia Road on 3 sides. They have 1 interior lot line. The applicant is proposing to do some remodeling that includes window and door alterations, minor second-story addition, and conversion of existing understory to habitable space. The applicant is requesting a mod of the front setback requirements for the additions and alterations within the required 30-foot setback to the north. A front setback modification to allow additions and alterations and a new trellis within the 30-foot front setback to the south. An interior setback modification to allow additions and alterations within the required 10-foot interior setback. And a fence, wall, and hedge modification to allow combined height of fences and walls and hedges to exceed the maximum allowable height of 3.5 feet within 10 feet of front lot line on the south and within 10 feet of the driveway for a distance of 20 feet from the property line on the north. So in reviewing this property, it's E1 zoned, which has generally a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet. This lot happens to have a slope between 20 and 30%. It's an estimated slope of 23%. So that would actually mean, in this particular instance, the lot would need twice the minimum lot size for a newly created lot, or roughly 30,000 square feet, and this is only 6448. So it's an undersized lot. Roughly 82% of the lot is within the required front and interior setbacks. All but a very small portion of this lot with outside of the setbacks has been developed. So they are proposing a small hallway addition of about 8 square feet in this location. And they are proposing a small bump out for a upper level bathroom addition where the bathroom counter is with a skylight. The front setback modification to the north, I'll focus on one section at a time. Up here to the north, I want to make sure I was looking at the north, we have requested to allow the hallway addition, a water feature, a front entry gate and pillars, and a trellis-like element here. Also, there's a mailbox up here next to the pillar. They are also thickening the walls if we go to the floor plan. And this is spun around, unfortunately, 180 degrees. So we're looking at the hallway addition here. You can see where they're thickening the walls, furrowing them out to give it some architectural relief. They're infilling a door here where the water feature is occurring. And I feel like I'm missing something.
These are the.
That's
the
the
front
entry gate
and the trellis.
and the
on the
trellis
front.
element, the water feature. Okay, and then on the southern front setback, and the way that staff define these is if you continued the setback all the way across the edge of the lot. We just did 2 front setbacks because they overlap and intersect, rather than doing 3.
Yeah, because that one's overshadowed.
Yeah. The southern front setback, they're requesting to allow architectural projections similar to on the north side. You can see here they are providing some architectural relief by adding wall thickness. The window is roughly in the same location as it was, maybe slightly forward, but to kind of give that recessed window feel. And they're doing that over here also. On the lower levels on the next sheet. On the lower level, we are doing the same in the basement area that's already unfinished currently, but there is Was there a window down here before?
No, just a door.
Just a door, just the door. Furring out these walls to provide some architectural relief. And they're creating a habitable space here, a small room with a half bath and a laundry area that's accessed through the garage only. At the western interior setback, they are proposing this bathroom addition on the second story. And as you can see here, there's no windows proposed on the sides of that addition, but they do have a skylight with obscured or frosted glass.
Is this window new too?
That is a new window.
And
In an existing location.
So it's an existing window, just
it's a
replacement?
replacement, but this is a new window, right? In the
Yeah,
shower.
the showers.
So
Oh,
this
there's the
pop out
existing floor. You can see
Yeah.
the windows there.
was a bigger window that got smaller here, but this is a new one that's in the shower, and it's frosted and up high as well.
When we go back to the front page, as you can see, they're non-conforming to their required open yard location. We asked the applicants to identify their areas that they use as recreational areas on the plan. You can see this area that is located here is 806 square feet. It's located 10 feet back from the front property line. And then they have another area here that's an additional 470 square feet. So the combined total allows for 1,250 square feet. It does not meet the locational provision, but staff, for the record, wanted to define where their open yard locations are and provide an acceptable outdoor living space. There is a change in topography on the north side to their outdoor living space. You're coming down these stairs. It's kind of sunken below the roadway, and you might be able to see that in those photos that you have. Which will bring us to our last issue of fences, hedges, walls, and screens.
This looks like a new hedge being planted.
Yeah, that's this area right
Right
along
along
here.
Yeah,
That's
down
not
below.
part of the mod request, is it?
No, that's just going to be a 42-inch hedge that's maintained.
Although it's identified in the staff report. It's like in through here.
So right along here, and you can see it better in another picture, there is an actual driveway to the neighbor's house.
Yes.
And so this hedge, it sits atop a retaining wall, and the combined height of that hedge and the wall exceeds the maximum allowed of 3.5 feet. Staff felt that this hedge did not impede visibility of the neighbor to the east, coming down their driveway, coming out to Garcia Road, and seeing traffic.
Did transportation staff look at it?
I have referred this to transportation staff over a week ago. I have not heard back, and that's why you have the unusual condition that was described at the end of section E. I was hoping to have feedback by today. It talks about staff being supportive of these modifications, providing that the supervising transportation engineer did not find that there was any conflict with the neighbor's driveway on visibility. I think if there's any concern, it might be that pillar in the mailbox as you come down, because you can't necessarily see people coming around the curve. Again, I haven't heard back from the supervising transportation engineer. He does have a set of these plans on his desk. Yeah, we probably should carry that condition forward to the end. The project was reviewed in its entirety by the Single Family Design Board on June 17th, and the board did find that all the proposed modifications were acceptable. They were supportive of the articulations and fenestration changes and the changes that enhance the outdoor living space. I think I forgot a hedge.
Is this hedge included?
This one appears, when you scale it, to meet the requirement of being 10 feet back.
Okay.
It may have grown wider than it should be, but their intent was to maintain it in compliance with the ordinance. There's also some small plantings along the driveway here that aren't really a hedgerow per se, and you can see them in the photos, that transportation will also be taking a look at, just to make sure that they don't inhibit the person exiting his own driveway from seeing the traffic coming downhill. So I'm sorry, there are a number of mods, and I don't know if you want to go back through them one by one as you discuss them.
Okay.
But the only modification, or the only condition I could see is related to the hedge.
Okay, great, thank you.
So these were the plantings that I was referring
Yeah, I
to.
actually parked in the driveway and then tried to back out. So it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys want to state your name for the record, provide any additional comments?
I'm Steve Miranda, the acting agent.
Mark Mirando, agent for the owner on my right.
And I'm Tom Crivero, the owner.
Okay, great, thank you. Would you like to add anything?
Sure. Suzanne did a good job kind of outlining a lot of the modifications. This house was actually split off of this lot in the early 50s, 54, 55. And, you know, it's kind of set down as the road sweeps down and around. I don't know how it was actually split. It's only about 1,448 square feet, and it's got a 454 garage. And down below, you know, from the inside, when you come in, these are basically your front doors. You can go into the kitchen, and then there's a access that comes down into the garage below. And you know, you've got this whole upper level wall, and there's a whole understory that, you know, just has like the 4x4s, but it's about 7-8 feet high down underneath there. That's unfinished.
think
There's
you
some
showed a
photos.
picture
Yeah,
now.
there's photos in here of that. This area down here.
Yeah, it's full height underneath the master bedroom, and then it slopes up to this retaining wall.
Yes, it's marked on his.
So there's about 464 square feet down below that is greater than 5 feet in height here, and then there's an area that's less already. And the modifications, say on the south side here, this is one element that you can see on the elevation that comes all the way down, so it's furred out a little bit, and it doesn't add floor area in the building, even in the master bedroom. It's kind of like a window sill up at a certain height. So even though the windows recess more now, it's not adding floor area in the building. And down below here, there's a window in the setback for the half bath. And then there's this wall, and then there's a door that accesses the mechanical equipment. And if you look at the house next door, there's a 6-foot hedge that runs along here between them. And they have the exact same style of house. And the only thing on their side of the building is two bathroom windows on the upper level that are frosted glass. So there's not really much of an impact of this door or window in the interior setback, because I know that sometimes that's an issue.
Well, why do you need the door? There's an existing door here.
And that was actually never built. It was proposed in the original plans, and it was never constructed.
And
This,
Well, how do you get to the furnace now then?
right now, there's an as-built door here that we're going to be permitting.
so there were some construction changes that actually never happened. This man door technically isn't permitted.
Well, it
But
says
it's
here,
there.
remove as-built door.
Yeah, meaning that...
That it
they-
was never built, it was on the archive plan. So we're showing what the archive showed as legal, and then what the changes are, you know, that actually happened in construction and that are there now, and then how we're changing it with this project.
Okay, why can't you put the door there instead of in the setback?
Because the furnace and water heater and everything are already there.
They're right
And
there.
also, I would add there's a change in elevation from the garage floor, about 2 feet, to where the furnace is. I think that's probably why the door was not built there
Yeah.
originally.
Gotcha. And there's no clearance here either. So if we were going to put a door there, we'd have to probably build a wall at this 20-foot clear point, and that still would be...
But you could come in then instead in the come in the laundryway instead of having the door in the setback. Since this is a new wall, you could redo it.
Sure, and that's, right now, this is the area that's relatively flat, so we've got almost 8-foot clear along this dashed line.
Along the,
From-
so from here forward?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, from there forward is dirt, there's a dirt floor going up to the floor joists of the building above. And then the dirt slope. So it would just increase our grading calcs to put that door there, whereas on the outside it just seemed to make less of an impact on the construction.
Because, you know,
But so
there's
is
a
this,
change in
what's the
grade
flooring
behind
here?
here.
It's dirt, but as we come around the building here, the grade outside continues up with the footings as they step up. So when we get to this landing here, we don't need to saw cut the perimeter foundation at all. We can just put the door in and step to this dirt, because we're going to be building a small pony wall here, foundation wall to, you can see, I think in that section there showing that we're building a small retaining wall.
This is this wall?
Yes.
Right, so you can see the grade change behind it, where we're taking out this bit of grade here and putting in like a little retaining wall and then stick
So this
frame
is
it
still
up.
going to be a dirt floor?
Right,
Yes.
and it's up higher here.
Okay.
And that's what this is showing here. This is kind of looking at the mechanical equipment's over in the corner here, so you're looking this
Oh,
way.
there's a heater.
And you
Oh,
can
there's
see
one.
it sloping up with just post and piers back in here, and as the grade slopes up to the top, we're just going to leave it.
Yeah, I didn't get a look at the understory area.
Yeah, and the furnace is a very well operating gravity furnace, so that's another reason why that area is not being touched, because we need the space to allow the heat to rise up upstairs.
And you don't have any photos of the house next door in there?
We do.
Yeah, we do. Let me dig.
Oh, yeah, on the interior, you mean? Yeah, I saw
Well,
one
just like
a moment
here to
ago.
go that way.
Yeah, we do. There's some in here. I just saw them.
That's looking from Garcia on the south side.
There's one right along that side property line. That's not it. There it is.
There are the two bathroom frosted windows.
But there's another better picture right after that.
You want the site plan?
Yeah. There's one that looks right down there, and you can see the existing.
Okay, then the other,
Yeah, so there's that. That's,
so the door is going, like in this area?
yeah,
It's
just,
under this thing?
yeah, absolutely. This is the wall that is the existing bathroom bump out right here. So the door is going to be before that, probably near, I can't quite see what that is, but there's a little appendage of some type. Yeah, so this is the line of that bump out on the existing bathroom.
Okay, so then when you say high, this is the floor. So it's about, how far above the floor? The windows?
The skylights up here, or this window?
This one.
It'll have a 6 foot
6 foot 8. So about 4'8" if that's a 2-foot window. So
Okay.
about 4
And
foot
this
window.
really, there's a window here, so it's kind of like it's being relocated, right?
Yes.
So it's a new location, but there's a window here. This one's here, but it's being changed? Or is this one new?
That one's
It's an
existing. It's
existing.
in the existing bathroom.
And that's
That
existing?
was the master that came way out here like this, and we just cut it back
Okay,
to that same point and just made it smaller.
okay, so the total opening's smaller on that side, on the upper floor?
Yes.
Yeah, and this is just furred out with a vanity in it, and then a little skylight on the slope, like shed roof with a frosted skylight.
Okay.
And then this is the bathroom down below, the little half bath window.
And that one's going to be frosted too?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, all the bathroom windows will be frosted.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. You have more you want to add, or?
We can keep going through them with you if you want, so you can understand them if you
Okay,
like.
well, first I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay.
I'll open the public hearing, seeing no one. We did receive one letter from Paula Westbury? And assuming she's has concerns regarding it. Never comment the basement.
Convert.
See when, convert the basement. All is full of arson? I don't know. So expressing concerns with the project. All right, so
You'll fall in the ocean.
fall in the ocean? Okay. Well, I'll close the public hearing. I went out to the site, like I said, and visited it, and I agree it's an extremely constrained site. And a terrible it's not really intersection, but a curve in terms of backing out. So I understand fully the constraints regarding the size, 3 front yards, the existing development. What we can do is we can go one by one. So in regards to the front setback modification on the south side, they're all, we'll go to this one. It's flipped. But, so on the south side, which is now up on the top, the modification to change the windows or to add the windows, wasn't there a door, or to allow this existing door, to allow these windows. I think they're all thick in the wall. That's all appropriate. It's all architectural. It's a front setback. Windows and doors aren't going to impact the neighbors. I think that's supportable.
And that's also part of the open yard aspect too, that it goes down the 7 feet. So that was left like the 806 within that area.
Oh,
and
I
the
understand. So
400.
it's less than 7 feet above finished grade, so then it reduces the open yard more?
Correct, if non-conforming. So that
Okay.
was one of the aspects to the mod as well.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fine too, given the constraints of the lot. That minor encroachment over is not going to significantly impact the usability of your open yard, your non-conforming open yard that you have right now. So I think that's supportable. In terms of the building changes on the north side of the building, this minor 8 square foot addition in the front setback, I think it makes sense. You're removing a door, adding, improving the usability of the limited outdoor area. I think that's supportable. Generally, we really discourage front setback modifications for new habitable space, but given the significant constraints, anywhere you pop out, except for over here, it's in the front setback. I don't know what we'd really consider your primary. Maybe this would be your primary since your front door's that way, but I think that's an appropriate request and it's supportable. And then also with the water feature, and that's supportable too. In regards to your second story addition on that's the west, or was that east?
East interior.
The east interior. Sorry. I feel that's supportable. You've addressed any potential concerns I would have had regarding a new window in the setback. You're proposing the skylight. The design review board required that to be frosted or obscured, so that mitigates any concern that I would have, and it's not a significant request. I forget what the square footage is, but I think that's an appropriate mod.
5 feet by 2 feet, so about 10.
The concern I do have, though, is regarding the hedges and the walls. I understand the reasoning behind this hedge. It's to provide privacy with your area here that you used. You're enhancing it and everything. I would want to put a condition on it that the transportation staff look at it to make sure that it doesn't need to be reduced in this area to increase visibility. This is paved here, and I'm sure it's not an approved parking area, but I observed a car there, and that might, impact, or that might be more of a concern of visibility exiting the driveway versus the hedge. But I would want transportation staff to look at this area here to see if it needs to be reduced in height. And if not, I can support the 8 foot, but if it needs to be reduced down for visibility concerns, I don't want to impact the off-site neighbor. In regards to this hedge here, I don't feel it's necessary. I wouldn't support a hedge in this area with the curve and the slope and everything. This hedge needs to conform to the 3.5 foot height limit. And if council right now is going to be discussing hedges, and it might change, but at this time that is the requirement, and that's what I would have to, require here, that I wouldn't be in support of. But I don't know how to designate on the site, but in your, from the arbor over.
West of the new entry gate.
That's east. East.
That's east. You're talking about this
Oh, west,
part.
yes. Yeah, so west of the entry gate, I couldn't support it being over 3.5 feet, but east of it, I could, with the condition that transportation staff look at the height to see if it needs to be further reduced.
Okay, great.
And that condition would also, Ms. Riegel suggested that this might be a concern given the angle, so they would also have to look at this. But if it doesn't impact visibility, I think it's a nice addition, and it's fine, and I can support it at what height that transportation staff would feel. And that's the same with this trellis. I could support the modification for the trellis too. Trellis. So I think I covered all of them, did I?
You
The
did.
open yard.
The open yard's fine. It's not a conforming situation, and
Yeah.
the fact that they're bumping out, thickening the walls in that area, I think those are minor encroachments, and they're actually enhancement to the building. I think the house itself will look better once you're done with your project. And
Thank
so I
you.
think balancing those two aspects, I think that it's okay.
Great.
So,
One clarification on what you were talking about, the hedge in the front along the eastern side, east of the front entry columns. In the courtyard, this is where the bump out's going, and that door goes away. There's this wall here that's, I don't know, maybe like 26 inches high. So the hedge is above that. Is in the staff report, when they talk about the 42 inches, are they referring to the hedge itself being 42? Since
no, it would be the whole.
right from grade, but there's only
Is this a retaining wall or a wall?
it's a retaining wall because that's it's bringing the level up, and the dirt does slope up a little in there. You can possibly see it. Yeah.
It's the combined height.
Yeah, what the
Right.
code would.
Combined height.
Yeah, the code would be the combined height.
Okay.
The 8 foot, when you were talking about.
Because there's only a portion here where, because the roots to it are all closer to the retaining wall when you look inside there. So there's only a portion that's not within the 10 foot, which would be like from here forward of that hedge. And that's kind of what we were asking for the relief from. The rest of it is beyond the 10 foot here. So that's, I guess that's probably one of the remaining questions. Yeah,
So
this
the
is your
hedge-
10-foot line right across here, this dash line. And the hedge is like right inside, and
Okay,
of
well, the
course
eight-
spans the whole planter
The whole
area.
planter, yeah.
Okay, so the wall, this says an 8 foot hedge, so the height of the hedge plus the wall can't exceed 8 feet
Right.
within the front setback.
Correct.
So when it says 8 foot hedge, that
Right.
exceeds it, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
of
right
this-
now,
this fence.
right, yeah, that's probably over 8 feet. So if we
Yeah.
took it down to,
Okay, so that's a good clarification. So Suzanne, the modification is actually only right here?
But the rest needs to be trimmed down to a cumulative total.
correct,
8 feet.
so that's kind of the portion that screens, their main outdoor living area. So when I was talking to Tom outside a minute ago, I was like, if we cut it down to 42 and we've got a 28-inch wall or whatever, we're looking at,
Well, no, this has to be total of 8.
okay,
So this area, I didn't have concerns with the driveway in this area. And so what,
okay, so just 8 feet total from the bottom of wall.
yes, and then they would need to look at this.
Correct. Okay.
In regards, and this needs to be 8 foot total.
Okay.
That's fine.
And then this area is still, I think it needs to be,
42.
42 inches.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
But,
thanks for that.
yeah. Now, would transportation staff still look at this in terms of the driveway?
They can still look at
Yeah,
that.
so they might, I won't, the condition would be, since what's only before me, do you know, Suzanne, where about the mod is? Where?
This portion
One,
is what's over.
I think the neighbor's driveway is quite a ways down beyond the property line. I don't know if we have a very good, there's,
But you had an area on it. I thought there was an area on
is
there.
that the neighbor?
There might be.
That's the
Oh, this
second
is-
neighbor. Yeah,
That's
the
him, but
driveway
that's
now.
not really showing it. Oh, this is looking back down at it. So if you look here, right?
It's
there-
just almost 20 feet from the property line.
Yeah, so if you look at the hedge that's here, this is where that hedge is starting at the outdoor living space right now. And you're looking at all the way beyond, past the setback, all the way.
Yeah, because this retaining wall continues on over, and then they
So his
bend
driveway
down
is
to
probably
the driveway.
down into here somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you want to clarify that hedge plus wall can't exceed
Okay, we can make that clear with notes.
8 feet, and then that would be here, that'd be all of it, 8 fence with the hedge. Which in this area though, you can, doesn't it slope down? So like, or is it consistent?
It's flat to the, certainly to here. It might slope maybe an inch from corner to corner,
Ah, so
and
that's
then it
it.
drops a little bit over here and
Okay.
slopes that way.
So yeah, so then my condition would be the hedge west of the entry gate it has to be 3.5 feet, or meet 28, 87, 3.
Yeah,
170.
170.
170, so, which is 3.5 feet at this time. And then east of the gate would be okay, because it's only this small area. And then the entry pillar, this is the
That's
entry.
a pillar and mailbox.
So the pillar and mailbox, I'd want make sure the transportation staff's okay with the proposed height.
Okay.
So,
And I can go confirm with Derek Bailey after the meeting.
yeah, okay. So reviewed by transportation staff for something well, the idea is that just to make sure it's not causing visibility impacts, and that if they recommended it to be reduced, then that's the height it would need to be.
Okay.
And that's the intent of.
Can I just ask for a clarification? I'm not quite sure I followed everything. About the hedge then. What we're saying is 8 feet
8 feet from the bottom
patio,
here.
from the bottom of the
Yeah.
wall,
Yeah.
So 8 feet
for the
from here.
entire length, from the
Yeah.
gate to my neighbor's property line.
Yeah,
The
correct.
combined height of the wall and the hedge. Is 8.5
I
feet.
understand.
Unless
I'm glad I got it.
Yeah.
Unless the supervising transportation engineer wants a portion of this to be trimmed down to enhance visibility.
Right, with that condition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Along
and
with the pillars.
And then that would reduce it from finished surface of the patio up 42 inches.
Right.
So I think I covered it all.
I think you do.
So with those 2 added conditions, I was just reading your section and then so this one meets the requirements. So with those 2 added conditions, like make the findings outlined in the staff report and approve your project, and my action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. And they also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day appeal period. And if that was to occur, Ms. Riegel would contact you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I adjourn the meeting.